Hola familias! This is the second video that I'm recording for you all in a series of 3 videos. The first one I recorded was about the Blackboard 24/7 learning management system, which is accessible to parents via your parent login. This video is about the Google Classroom space, which is only accessible by student login. So depending on what works best for your family, that might mean that if you're interested in seeing what's going on in Google Classroom, that you would sit with your student and just ask about what's going on and asking them to share their Google Classroom with you. Or it might mean in some families that students share their login information with their parents. That's completely up to family discretion about how that works. I have a 5th grader and an 8th grader, and in our family, we handle both of those situations differently. So obviously, it's whatever works best for your family. But if you were to explore Google Classroom with your student, I wanted to show you a little bit about what you could expect. Thanks for watching. When your student logs into Google Classroom, you will be able to see many different classrooms which your student is enrolled in as a student. Here in my view, you can see the classes that I teach: advisory, first period, second, fourth, 8th, and 7th, as well as classes that I'm enrolled in as a student. The Global Classroom Project, for example, and the FCPS Spanish Collaborative Learning Team in the county. So I am going to show you from my view what our Spanish classrooms look like, and I'm also going to show you what it can look like from a student view in some of the classes that I'm enrolled in. So for example, if I have a student in first period Spanish 2, the first thing you'll see is that it will pop up what is next due. So for example, for this class, there is a homework that will be due before the next time the class meets. So if I click on the name of the class, it will put me into the Stream tab. This is not an area that I often use in my classroom. If you look at this with your students, you'll see some very non-time sensitive information, general announcements for class, and things that I might share with students, but it's just general, as in like FYI information. It's nothing time sensitive or mandatory or crucial. In the classwork tab, this is a very powerful tab that we use in my classroom. Here, this is how your student will be able to see any of their work that has been assigned or returned to them. So as you can see here, there is a writing piece that they are still in the process of working on. So it's still here for them to see. And then this is their upcoming homework that is also assigned here. They'll also have access in the archives below to all work that they have completed in quarter 1 and quarter 2. Just to give you a slight tour of what you can find, looking at the quarter 2 archive, you can see homework, tarea, is labeled and numbered for students to be able to follow which one they're currently responsible for. We also use Google Classroom to turn in classwork. So for example, where this one says, please turn in, this is where students submitted classwork, which is rare. You can see that's only happened once so far in quarter 2. Sometimes I give students a diagnostic, which is marked here by a magnifying glass, just to clue students in that that is something that I am collecting for data, but it is not going to be recorded as a grade in SIS. Things that are going to be recorded in a grade in SIS, I try to flag to students by using this green check, that this is a data check. We're stopping, we're pausing to see what it is that we know at this point in the process. So that is what the Spanish 2 first period class looks like from your student's point of view. Down here in quarter 1, just to point out some things, reassessments, if a student is taking a reassessment, are often marked with stop signs to stop and reassess. And then if there's something that's overdue, I try to mark it with an alarm clock. So that is what some of the historic items might be in the quarter 1 archive. Now I'm actually going to pause and show you what this can look like from a student point of view, and show you another very helpful tool. So now I've gone to open up, this is a collaborative professional development group for Spanish teachers across the county that I'm enrolled in as a student. And even though this, is the actual details here aren't relevant to your student, I did want to point out to you, this is a very important link that you will see at the top of your student's page in Google Classroom where it says view your work. What this does is it actually sorts for each student all of their work, and it shows the current status. So here you can see all the work, assigned work, returned work, and missing work. So these are really important filters to help your student, especially if they're feeling overwhelmed, to help them understand where they are with their workflow in any given class, including Spanish. This is not a traditional class, so mine doesn't look exactly the same, but you can see here that it sorts by which ones have been assigned. There are no due dates for my assignments here, but if there are due dates, they would show here. Items that are returned would be viewable on this tab, and anything that's missing would be viewable on this tab. So although, as I said, the details are different, knowing that your student has the option of using that View Your Work tab at the top of the classwork page is a helpful tip. Going back to the Spanish 2 classroom and using the Spanish 2 classroom classwork tab as an example, also across the top here is a link to the Google Calendar. This is the same Google Calendar that you saw embedded in the 24/7 Blackboard site, but students have a direct link here from the top of their classwork tab. Clicking on the calendar tab and using the arrows here on the top, I can navigate to any particular class period. I can see which assignments I may have missed, and since I am logged in as a student, I can also click and go directly to that assignment where I can read the details, and I can also attach my student work and submit it. Again, on this calendar view, which is available under the classwork tab, Google Calendar. Let's say, for example, I missed a class and I wanted to go back and access my documents. Students can click where it says all class materials, which will open the appropriate web page on our on our classroom website. This is a very helpful resource that I'll review in the next video. So that's a general tour of Google Classroom. And although parents don't have direct access via a login, it is a really helpful tool to use to communicate with your student if you have any questions or concerns about your student's progress or any missing work that you have seen pop up on their progress report. I encourage you guys to enjoy going through it with your students to see all the amazing work that they've been working on. And if you have any questions or comments, you can always feel free to reach out to me, and I'll be happy to try and point you guys in the right direction. The third thing I wanted to show you, our class website, which is sort of like a library of everything that we do in class. I'll share that with you with my third and final video. Thanks for watching. Gracias.